Do you know about a little Kaliga Potts? You might know his tragic story while never actually hearing his name. He died while in the care of the Alberta government, and the people whose job it was to keep him safe but instead ignored all the signs that he was being abused, well, some might still take a paycheck from the Alberta taxpayers. Kaliga was a 3-year-old Indigenous boy who was killed by his foster mother while in the care of the province in 2007. His foster mother was eventually convicted of killing him in 2011, and she's now serving an 8-year sentence for manslaughter for giving Kaliga the catastrophic brain injury that eventually ended his little life. But the brain injury that Kaliga suffered wasn't a one-time thing. It was ongoing, systemic abuse that Kaliga's social workers had noticed on multiple occasions but had failed to act upon. Kaliga had been in and out of the care of the province since he was about 1 month old. Substance abuse and neglect plagued his biological family, except it seems for his grandfather, who had cared for him off and on since his birth. And the day little Kaliga was finally apprehended by the province and taken into care, reports describe his home as filthy, with a strong odor of garbage, feces, and urine. The only food that was in the fridge was a bottle of beer. But Kaliga's nightmare wasn't over, it was just starting. The province plunked little Kaliga into a foster home with a foster parent who was not licensed to care for a child with Kaliga's sorts of needs. And so things went very bad very fast. When he was in the care of his foster parent, Lily Choi, bruises and scars began to turn up on Kaliga on at least 2 separate occasions. One time, the scars and bruises were documented by a doctor who had seen little Kaliga, and he sent a letter to social workers concerned about potential abuse. Then Kaliga's older siblings, who were also in the foster home, started reporting psychological abuse at the hands of their foster mother. The social workers then told Kaliga's one sibling to write a letter to the child advocate, instead of actually doing something about reported abuse. Then perhaps the most sad, little Kaliga's life could have been saved when his grandfather made a request to care for him and snatch him from the clutches of his state-employed killer. But the social workers, again, did not act. They did not respond to that request. Instead, they left little Kaliga in the home where he would eventually die. Judge Fern LaReverend just finished an inquiry into little Kaliga's death, and she wrote, and I quote, "Kaliga Potts' death was a direct result of the fundamental failure of everyone connected with this child to do their jobs," end quote. Kaliga's abuse took place under the watch of the former Progressive Conservative government. It's shameful, but now, after all the facts are out, after a judge has made her findings into the case that lays the blame at 5 different social workers involved in little Kaliga's killer, you'll never guess what the consequences were for those social workers. Some may still work for the Alberta government. Children's Services Minister Danielle Larrivee was asked if the social workers involved in supervising little Kaliga still work for the province, and all she could say was that their status varies, meaning some of these social workers were never fired after mishandling the case of the 3-year-old who was abused until he died at the hands of his foster mother. What do these government workers have to do to lose their jobs? A baby is dead. Another baby is dead in government care. Of all the things I thought this government might be good at, it was social work, given how many of them are actually social workers. But it looks like they are just really good at protecting their own. Foster kids, though, not so much. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. We don't make excuses for the NDP. We actually hold them accountable. To never miss a story, be sure to subscribe to our new Rebel Canada YouTube page.